Hey everybody, welcome to Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. On this episode, the refined low-country cooking at Magnolias helped turn Charleston into a culinary hotspot when that restaurant first opened more than 3 decades ago. Now its new culinary director has a complicated job ahead of her, coming back to the place she first made her name to take it into the future without discarding its storied past. Here's Chef Kelly Franz. Chef, how are you? Thanks for doing this.
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, congratulations on the new gig.
I appreciate that. It's kind of a newer version of an old gig, so super excited.
And let me start there. The headline in the local paper was, Charleston chef becomes first woman to head Magnolias restaurant in its 35-year history. Why is the headline still, hey, she's a woman?
You know what? I kind of asked the same question when they asked to speak with me. They ask you a bunch of questions, and then at the end it's, oh yeah, what's it like being the first woman? Or a lot of times that becomes the focus. Instead of being, hey, congrats, chef, you kick ass, it becomes being about a woman.
But obviously it's still considered enough of an oddity that it should be mentioned after all these years?
Right, exactly. And I spoke with a couple of people about that, and they're just like, because it still is. There's probably less than 10 female executive chefs in Charleston, South Carolina. It's one of the biggest food hubs on the East Coast. So it is still a big deal, and I take it seriously, and I take it very seriously, and I try to be a role model for other women, and I'm girl power all the way. So if that's the way that they want to word it, then that's great. I was the executive chef here for a long time. I was the chef of cuisine here, but I always had Don Drake as my parent, basically. I call him my stepdad because I was here for a long time.
But it does say something about the state of the industry.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the fact that there's still a reason for that to be the headline? What do you see the culinary industry doing or not doing to address that inequity?
Well, I think for women, when I first started, it was definitely a lot harder, like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was a lot harder for women because I don't feel like we were even wanted in the kitchen. And you had to work harder, faster, stronger than the person next to you to get anywhere, really just to get out of the salads or making desserts. And I feel like things really changed with the Food Network and like women becoming Iron Chefs and things like that, where a lot of women younger women grew up with heroes like that. And then they go to culinary school and they go into kitchens and they realize it's not what it looks like on TV. It's hot. It's hard. You work 10, 15, 20 more hours than your partner every week. You're constantly on the phone, on the text. If you move into a management position, it's really hard to have stable relationships, kids, especially, those kinds of things, and balance. So even now, when I see women in leadership roles around, most of the time it's their own place. They started their own place to have just a better atmosphere than most kitchens provide. So I think women, you start out and you think it's going to be one way, and then it's actually not.
Well, we saw a few years ago a lot of brouhaha at the time of the Me Too movement starting up. Mario Batali got called out, and there is a perception that things got better. Did they get better enough?
I think they did get better. Honestly, I say the change between 2010 and 2015 was substantial. And even for me as a woman in a leadership role, not having to constantly deal with, if I smile at you this way, are you going to take it wrong? Or do I need someone to walk me to my car at night because so-and-so looks like he wants to eat me every time I tell him to do something, which is actually a real thing. And it's something that we all have to think about and we all have to protect ourselves at all times from. But it just kind of isn't as bad as it used to be. And I'm sure that's because in the world, all of a sudden, they're learning, hey, you shouldn't act like that. This isn't the way that it should be. I have every right to be here. I have every right to be your boss. It's just not as, I would say, like the first time that someone was stalking me in a dry storage and touching me inappropriately, and I told my chef, he laughed at me. He laughed in my face. Like, why are you even telling me that's your problem? And, I dealt with it and you learn how to deal with it. And I thought to myself right then, I'm going to be a manager here and I'm going to fire that asshole. And so I did. I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked hard. And that's one of the first things I did is get rid of this guy that can't keep his hands off of me every time I'm alone. Do I feel like it's a little bit better now? Yes. Do I feel like the Me Too movement helped dramatically with that? Yes, I do.
I get the sense you feel that there's still a long way to go.
Of course. There's always bigger, better, stronger. Even right now on Kiowa.
That was your last job.
That was my last job. That's where I just came from.
Yeah.
I had a lot of women there, tons. Honestly, I have some friends that are culinary instructors. And when they hear female students say, I want to work for a strong female chef, they give me their information. And I usually bring them in and then I'll push them and make them into managers or sous chefs or even bigger and better. So I have a lot of women under me. And so coming back downtown, it's super important to me to also provide that. But I want to get my kitchen to a place where if I bring women in, that they feel like, damn, I'm safe here. I'm secure. This is a place where I want to work. That's what I'm working on constantly. There's always, always, always room to grow.
I want to get to your current job, your new job in a little bit. But first, I want to hear about your life. You were a military brat, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Where did you grow up? What were your experiences as a child?
Well, I was lucky enough to grow up in Europe for the most part as a child. I was born in Nebraska. We moved to England when I was 18 months old. I was there until elementary school. We lived in Germany until I moved back to South Carolina to go to high school.
Where in Germany? I lived in Frankfurt.
We lived in Ramstein.
The air base.
Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force.
You grew up at Ramstein?
Yeah, I'm lucky.
So you had formative culinary experiences in Europe.
So many. We traveled so much. I mean, just taking little bus rides to Spain and France and Brussels and the Netherlands. I couldn't have grown up in a more privileged way for sure, especially about food.
Did you appreciate the culinary education you were getting?
Definitely later in life. I'm sure as a child, I just thought that everybody else got to grow up like this too.
Well, did you have favorite foods that we wouldn't have back in the States?
I mean, I'm still in love with anything fermented, sauerkraut, all of that good stuff that you grow up with in Germany that you don't see around here a lot. Like I'm a mustard lover, all of the breads.
Was food an essential part, an important part of your family's life when you were young?
I'm going to say yes and no. My dad worked. My mom stayed home. She's from the Midwest. So most of the things that I learned as a kid were following recipes off the back of a box. When we lived in Germany, there was an older couple that lived in the house next to us. And I called them Oma and Opa, Grandma and Grandpa. And they had a beautiful garden and they had apple orchard. And we would go and pick things. I'd eat rhubarb out the ground with some salt or sugar on it. So I definitely had some experiences, but I wouldn't say that my dad loves breakfast, and breakfast is still my favorite food of all times. And learning how to perfectly whisk eggs and perfectly cook eggs was probably my first foray into being a chef as a child.
From your dad?
From my dad.
You were quoted in an interview saying, I loved watching my dad make breakfast on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, love it. I still love it. Definitely a cool thing.
So what's the perfect breakfast?
You know, I have a 2-year-old now. I have a little boy, and he loves hard-boiled eggs for some reason. So at our house, we end up having hard-boiled eggs for breakfast a lot. So if I could get back to making a perfect omelet, or he loves grits. We have a lot of grits. I'm definitely a Southern girl. I would say biscuits, eggs, grits, gravy. Perfect breakfast.
Well, hold on. Your mom's from Nebraska. You grew up in Europe.
No, my mom's from Indiana. Indiana.
Pardon me. Midwest. And you kind of, I guess, got to the South by pointing at a map and saying, I'm going there, or what?
My dad retired at Shaw Air Force Base. It's about an hour and a half from here. So I went to the University of South Carolina for 1 year, and then I was working in kitchens, and they had started a culinary program here at Trident Technical College called the Culinary Institute of Charleston. My dad was an enlisted. My mom didn't work. I didn't really have any money to go to college. I went the 1 year to USC on a Pell Grant, and then I didn't have that anymore. So I really thought about it for a long time and decided that there was nothing I wanted to do in this world other than continue to learn in the kitchen.
We'll be right back. Let me back you up 1 second. We kind of jumped over. You said, I'd been working in kitchens. How did that start? You just looked up one day and said, I need a few bucks. What can I do? Or was it because you wanted to work in kitchens?
I mean, it's a little bit of both because I was waiting tables. I started waiting tables at a Waffle House when I was 16, the summer after what would have been my 11th grade year, but I graduated early.
By the way, if you're not from the South, you may hear Waffle House jokes, but to this day, having lived in Georgia and worked at various places in the South, I will tell you, in some respects, there's nothing better than a Waffle House breakfast.
Right.
So,
especially at like 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've actually been there sober once or twice.
That's hilarious. My brother is obsessed with Waffle House. Like he wears this stupid hat. He lives in Texas where they don't have them. And when he comes to visit me, we always have to go to Waffle House. And he orders like half the menu. It's ridiculous.
So you got a job.
But yes, I waited tables at 16 at a Waffle House overnight. I did an overnight shift, 9 at night, 7 in the morning.
Just to make a few bucks?
I had to pay my car insurance. I had to pay for gas.
So you started out waiting tables.
Oh, I hated it. It was horrible. You have to smile and be fake. I made a lot of money. Honestly, I made like $100 a night waiting tables at a Waffle House, which is a ton of money when you're 16. And when I was 17, I started working at a nicer restaurant, waiting tables. Well, I say nicer, like pretty upscale, not like Magnolias upscale, but I really hated it. You had to be just a lot more. Repeat the same thing over and over again. Smile. Hi, how are you? How can I help you? And some people are really, really good at that. And I can be if I want to be. But I saw everyone in the kitchen all the time. They got the music on, they're making bread, they're peeling shrimp, they're laughing, they're joking, they're having the best time. Part of my side work was chopping parsley. And I would go back there with them and put my little cutting board down and chop parsley and listen to them. And I thought to myself, this is the best part of my day. And so I asked the GM at the time if I could move into the kitchen, and he laughed at me, obviously.
Why would he laugh at you?
I don't know. I just see, someone in the front of the house in their uniform, clean, doing whatever, wanting to go back into the kitchen and make $7 an hour is kind of laughable. So I get why he did, but he let me do it. He let me do it like 2 days a week. That was it for me. I fell in love. Every single day I learned something new, something that I was just incredibly passionate about. And I did that there for about a year. And then I moved to Charleston to go to the Culinary Institute of Charleston. It was a crazy time there because they only had very, very few people enrolled in small classes, and it was just the Palmer campus downtown. So there's a few of us that we still know each other really well from those classes, but we really got a great education because the instructors got to spend a lot of time with you. They know you personally. I'm still friends with a lot of my instructors from school too.
What was the big takeaway? Was there suddenly the lights went on moment in culinary school? When did you say, I can do this?
Oh, I had that moment right then and there at that restaurant working in the prep as a prep cook, that this is the only thing that I ever want to do. And so that's why I moved to Charleston and I went to school here. I worked at a couple of restaurants in my second year of culinary school. I started at Magnolias and I had to start making salads. Just like every other person here does. It doesn't matter who you are or how long you've been in school. You start making salads and then you learn the prep stations and then you learn saute 2, saute 1, you learn the grill.
So did you start out at McDonald's? You said you worked at a bunch of places in town, right?
I did. I worked at a couple of places. I worked at Locklear's, which was a southern staple here for a little while. I worked at the Angel Fish restaurant, which was also, it had a lot of longevity at the time. I worked at Red Bone Alley in Mount Pleasant, late night, drop-in fried food for a little bit.
Magnolias was
my home.
The one with the name.
Yeah.
Everything I've read, it was really a pioneer in helping put upscale Southern cooking on the map. Is that an accurate assessment? It helped Charleston become what it is now in terms of food?
Absolutely. I mean, it just has an incredible Cinderella story. Tom Parcell and Donald Bergman opened up Magnolias in 1990 on East Bay Street. And this area at that time had nothing. I mean, it really was just underdeveloped. And in 93, I think they opened up Blossom next door. And then in 2001, I believe they opened up Cypress and just were incredibly successful in every way. And they all three were separate concepts. It's just Magnolias now. I think Cypress shut down in 2016 and then Blossom during the pandemic. Magnolias is just, it's just like still a powerhouse and they're still doing 300, 400, 500 covers a day where other people they're just not.
Well, when you were there, what years?
I started in November of 2003.
Was the Charleston culinary explosion still taking place?
Magnolias was still like incredibly new and popular, even though it had been open for over a decade at that time. But everything hadn't really started like finished blowing up. I mean, everything blew up like all of King Street, all the way down. Charleston became like the destination, the culinary destination, probably a little bit later.
How did it feel to be part of that?
It's still exciting to be part of that. I mean, we're trying to make a comeback right now after COVID, obviously. I mean, it just wrecked a lot of family-owned businesses, a lot of private-owned businesses. You know, obviously, there's so many more corporate entities here now because of how many places didn't make it through COVID. And lucky me, I was in Kiowa during that whole time.
Well, we're not there yet, so hold on. Let's back up.
Okay.
First of all, how does a culinary student get a gig at Magnolias when it's at the top of the pyramid at that point?
Yes. One of my chef instructors, his name was Chef Stacks, he took a shining to me and he called Donald Bergman, who was the original chef owner of this place, personally and said, hey, I have a student that needs a job. And I was looking for something a little bit more upscale at that time just to further my skills. And it was my second year of culinary school. So it was the perfect time. They really didn't have space for me, but he made space. And I feel like because I came with a recommendation from someone that they respected, like Chef Stacks, that they actually, took a little bit of time with me and made sure that I was properly trained. And I mean, I still got my ass kicked on a regular basis, probably more than anything. But
on the one hand, you're obviously one of the top students at the culinary school, or you wouldn't have gotten a recommendation. On the other hand, there's culinary school and then there's the real world.
Yeah.
So what was the wake-up call in the real world?
Well, I had been working in kitchens at that point for a few years, but I had only been working prep and pantry. It was really hard as a woman to get out of that like prep pantry thing. So at Magnolias, I started in the pantry and I was determined to not just be a line cook, but be like the best line cook. So I get all my stuff set up as fast as possible and then turn around to the guy next to me and be like, show me, show me, show me, show me. And one day everyone called out and it was just me, and Don Drake just let me do it. He just let me do it. He let me run the whole lunch line by myself. And like I said, I got my butt kicked hard and I learned a lot of lessons that day. But from that day forward, I wasn't put on the schedule as a pantry person. So
what was your progression there?
About a year and a half later, this is actually a fantastic story. I was having dinner with one of my other line cooks. We had won a Magnolias Iron Chef competition.
What was that?
My boss had just came in with a chopped box full of random things and gave it to us and put us in teams and let us come up with a dish, or actually a 3-course meal. And then one of the teams won. And what we won is like a full meal at Cypress. So we were there having our victorious dinner because we won. And one of the managers working came over and said, hey, the line is going down in flames. One of the sous chefs walked off in the middle of service. Can you help? And so I walked over 4 doors down in my dress and my heels, and I ran the line and I got us out and I worked the station. And then the next day I said, hey, that's my job. This is my job. And so thank you for giving me that job, because he could have looked me in the face and been like, what the hell are you talking about?
So you then became, this was at Magnolias?
Sous chef. I was the PM sous chef, and that was for about another 2 years. And then I became chef de cuisine. And chef de cuisine here runs the whole everything, do all the ordering, the scheduling, basically just prepping you to be the executive chef.
Back in a moment.
I became executive chef in 2015. And so some of the fun things and then some of the not fun things come with being executive chef. And that's, I still personally, I hold on to the schedule because that's where all my money is. So there was that. And you still get to do all of the fun things, like all of the charity that we do here. We do tons and tons of charity events and press and wine and food and wine, and really work on the menus and just be menu focused.
I'm confused because now that you're back, you're culinary director. Do you have an executive chef under you?
I do.
What do you do?
Everything, hold it all together. This is an amazing restaurant, and it's super popular, and it's open 365 days a year for brunch, lunch, and dinner. Let's say today I come in and I'm working on some new menu things with my executive chef. He comes in at 12. I came in at 8. This person called out. I fired someone. I had to work on the line for a little bit. He comes in. We rally. We talk about what's going to go on for the next few days. This is broken. I do all of the paperwork, the transferring, all of this is my desk here, all the numbers. And
well, for those who are listening, not watching, she just picked up a whole bunch of paper.
Yes, just a bunch of paperwork, but also hiring. It's a constant game. Like the hardest part of this job for whoever is doing it is employee maintenance. It is very difficult. It's luckily with Magnolias, there's still a lot of people here that were here when I was here before, and they know me really well, but there's still a revolving door of people coming in and out. And so you're training.
Why is that? In fact, well, let's go back to your own career.
Mm-hmm.
You've come back to Magnolias.
Right.
You were the executive chef at Magnolias, and you left.
Yes.
Why did you leave?
It was time. My husband and I wanted to have a kid. We wanted to expand our family. And I would say for about 3 years, I tried to do that here. And again, it just never stops. It's a nonstop job. People call you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you're at home, you're never off. You're always on. And it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And I was almost 37, I think. So I went to the owner and I said, hey, I love you and I love this place, but this is important to me and I need to do it. I had just been offered a really incredible position at Kiowa.
Kiowa being what?
It's a private club. It is a very prestigious private club. I'm so lucky I got to work there, work with the other chefs.
So you were the executive chef there or what?
Yeah, I was the executive chef at the River Course. There are 4 clubhouses. I think there's 5 now, but the River Course is a golf. It has a beautiful golf course. And so there are golf tournaments. You do all the member events there. It was like the big event hub. But there's also a restaurant that's open 5 days a week for lunch and dinner. We do all the weddings for the club. And so that was super fun for me to really get into events and write event menus, create an event staff. The restaurant itself had no real theme. I don't want to say theme, but it just didn't have like a personality whenever we first got there. So they're like, hey, make this your own.
So what did you make it? What was the personality that you gave it?
So, I just have deep South roots. I have a lot of Southern roots. I'm a huge fan of kind of like small plates and shareable things. And if I go to eat, that's what I want. I want to order the whole menu with 2 other people or 3 other people and share the whole menu.
In some respects, it's very Southern European.
Right.
The concept of sharing small plates. And frankly, I don't trust anyone who won't share food when I go out to eat. But it's not necessarily an American form of dining, is it?
No, it's crazy. Like people just want to commit to one thing. I think it's just because I'm so passionate about food and I want to see all that. It's not just the food that I'm eating. I want to see how it's presented, what plate it's on, how it's served, all of the aspects of dining. Other than just I ordered a meat and 3 and that's what I'm going to have for dinner. And so I push that really hard. I pushed it at Kiowa, found a little balance where there's some entrees and then there's also just a ton of small plates and appetizers and soups and salads and things like that for people to choose from and share. And I think that we did eventually find an incredible balance and it became one of the most popular restaurants there, if not the most popular. It's kind of crazy because we had worked so hard and put all of this effort into, when I say we, because my executive chef Sam was with me the whole time there as well. And then at the height of it, while it's going incredibly well, that's when they came to me about this job. And I was like, wait, I love my job. So I had to leave here when I love my job. I had to leave there when I love my job. But you can't say no to opportunity. And as long as I'm still learning and I'm still becoming a better chef, I think it's silly to stay stagnant.
So Magnolias comes to you
Mm-hmm.
and they say, come home and be the big boss.
Yeah. It blew my mind.
And your kids are older.
No. I still have a little boy. I still have a 2-year-old. He's 2.5. He'll be 3 in December.
So why can you make the time commitment now?
I feel like if I didn't come now, I would have missed this opportunity. They got one other person to try to move into the role, and it just wasn't a good fit. I had been here for so long and I know everybody, and it just seemed like this is what you need to do. If it was 2 years from now and my son's going to school, I think I would have immediately jumped on it and been like, oh, hell yes, this is my path. But I did have to think about it for a couple months. We went back and forth for a little while, and I was like, man, I'm going to miss out on a good chunk of his life while he's still so little. In the long run, it just felt right. And it's not really a sacrifice, I don't want to say. You just have to make adjustments and work harder to see my son. I mean, I work harder to spend as much time with him as I possibly can. I try to make sure that we spend time together in the morning. I try to make sure that we have a little bit of time before he goes to bed at night, even when I am working my ass off. I make my husband bring him down here and hang out in my office with me for a little bit, if I have to do things in my office. But this is mainly a kitchen position. I'm in the kitchen the majority of the time, and that's just not a safe place for little kids. So maybe when he's a little bit older and he gets out of school, you can just come here. And I mean, my office is this is definitely a perk. I got a big, beautiful office that I still haven't set up yet. So
You've been on the job for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, I started August 18th, the 13th. August the 13th. I'm like, man, it feels like 6 months, but it's only been like a month.
What are your priorities? I don't want to in any way disparage what went before you.
Mm-hmm.
But I get the sense that you think you need to freshen things up a bit.
I do. Really just, with Magnolias, there's so many people that have been coming here for 30 plus years, or they come here for their anniversary every year for the last 14 years, and they always get the same thing. So the thing here is balance. You can't take certain things away, or if you do, you have to put on something better. It has to be better, because you'll get people that come here and say, oh, but wait, this one thing that I've had for so many years. So just finding those things and embracing them, even if it wasn't me that made them, but making sure that they're being done exactly right and exactly the way that people want them to, but also like creating something that's mine and some seasonality. I'm all about seasonality. I'm like, no berries, no avocado in December. Those things were always important to me before too. And they're the easiest things to let go of or get away from whenever you want to just keep the same thing on the menu all the time.
How about regionality? I mean, there are any number of food items that are so low country.
Right.
How do you determine what you put on the menu that isn't low country?
So that's also a tough one. You want to keep within the theme. And, at Kiowa, I haven't had to have that kind of a theme. My theme was a lot more broad until I came back here. But luckily, I was here for so long. It's so funny because I got my first computer in 2005. I've been here since 2003. It's just so crazy how far that we've come. But I have special sheets of things that I wrote all the way back from 2003 in stacks. I kind of like compartmentalize everything that I've ever done. And then you just try to bring it into the now and make it fresh and see what's going on. When I leave here, there's one day a week always that I go somewhere and stop and have dinner on my way home and see what's happening and see what people are doing. So like I said, it's a balance of a brand that you really don't want to mess with, but you also need to have a piece of yourself and also just keep everything fresh and local and seasonal as much as possible. So I'm working on it. It's been a month. You should see how far we've come.
Let's start with the stuff that's immutable.
Okay.
You can't change the pimento cheese.
Right. I mean, I could change the pimento cheese. People would probably hate me, but yeah, I probably could.
What are the few items that you just can't touch?
Obviously, Charleston fried green tomatoes are such a huge thing. And I think personally, and that's from being all over, I think Magnolias has the best fried green tomatoes. I might be a little biased, but they definitely do. And so do 5 million other people that post about it all the time. So I would not touch that recipe. She crab soup is huge. We call it crab bisque here. I probably would never touch that one.
Deviled eggs?
Deviled eggs, I did actually change. They had a deviled egg recipe. Literally, it was one of the first things that I changed because here in the South, traditional deviled eggs are so important. And they were a little unique, And so I just immediately took that off and put traditional deviled eggs on. I made a big menu change today, this morning, for the lunch menu. A couple of things to tighten up and get in the fall season.
Like what? What'd you do?
Something that used to be on the menu a long time ago. It's called the Carolina Carpetbagger. And it refers to people from the North coming down here and selling their wares and things like that. It is a traditionally beef and oysters in a cream sauce. And we've had many, many different kinds of Carolina Carpetbagger on this menu when I was there before, but it hasn't been since I was gone. So I braised some beef short ribs, made a really deep, rich red wine bordelaise sauce with some local shiitake mushrooms and oyster mushrooms. Did fried oysters with béarnaise sauce.
Ooh.
It's been selling like crazy. It's going really, really well. I made a really good coconut butternut squash bisque that went on today. Just something a little bit seasonal. We have a barbecue tuna tartare.
You added a shellfish gumbo?
Yes, shellfish gumbo.
Tell me about that.
Sam Simpson is my executive chef. I just felt we both felt it was really important that he has something that's kind of his signature dish. And he's really into making charcuterie and making his own sausage and things like that. So he made alligator and chicken andouille sausage and then made the gumbo base out of that. So we take alligator tail meat and chicken thighs with the skin on and then grind it and then make basically an andouille out of that. And then make the gumbo base with that sausage. It's really incredible. It's taken off really well. It's got shrimp and lobster stock in it, shrimp, scallops, and crab. We put crab in the rice. We got blue crab around here everywhere. And that's what people want. They want shellfish. They want things they can get straight out of the ocean. I mean, this is Charleston. We're right in the water. So it seemed like a really perfect fit it was one of the first changes that we made.
Are you one of the only restaurants in Charleston? I mean, I'm looking at your menu. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't see shrimp and grits.
It says shrimp and sausage on the menu. It's shrimp it's kind of an Italian sausage, and then it's in a tasso ham gravy. And yes, it's shrimp and grits, but it says shrimp and sausage on the menu. But that has been on since day one. That's a Donald Barrickman thing that's never going to change. I'm never going to take that one off.
Can't mess with that.
It's too popular.
What else are you thinking about changing?
In the long run, almost everything. It's only been a month. There's probably 7 things that I'll never touch. The fried chicken. Magnolias is famous for their fried chicken. Oprah loves the fried chicken. It is fantastic and it's done well. The collard greens are... I've taken that recipe with me everywhere I've ever been, and I will always, for the rest of my life, use that one because it is, they are the best collards ever made.
What's the secret? What makes them the best collards?
Ridiculous amount of bacon fat.
That will make anything the best.
Right. A little bit of sugar, Tabasco, saute onions down in bacon fat, and then let them cook for a long time. Apple cider vinegar, the sugar. Very important. Some people are like, whatever, no sugar, but man, for me, it's just the difference. Just a little bit of sugar. It makes the biggest amount of difference. Balances that Tabasco flavor, balances the savory with the bacon fat. They're the best. If you've never had collards before, this is the place.
I've had them before, but I'm still coming for collards.
You should come.
Philosophically, what do you want coming out of your kitchen? What's the experience you want to be giving diners?
I'm a big proponent of consistency and simple food that tastes great, but looks just as good, right? I don't need 50 ingredients or 40 things stacked on a plate or molecular gastronomy and things like that, which I do like to dabble in occasionally, but only for fun events and things. But Magnolias is not that. It's the best grits and the best mashed potatoes you've ever had in your entire life. And then quality proteins, that methods of preparation are what make them great. Like the short ribs. Short ribs aren't the most expensive thing in the entire world, but I spent 2 days making them incredible. So when you take that bite and you know that someone literally put all their love into it, I want people to sit down and be like, damn, I want to come back for this. Wow, this is the best whatever I've ever had, and I want to come back for it. Craveable, I guess.
This is not the easiest time to run a restaurant. Charleston, great culinary destination, you were telling me earlier, has had a hard time rebounding culinarily since COVID. prices keep going up. Everything I read is that as prices go up, diners pull back. How do you feel about the industry at this point?
I don't know about the industry as a whole, but really just right here in my little area, I feel like over the course of the last 5 years, even doing really fun events or charity events, before COVID, I used to know everyone at these events and walk through, and we'd all be talking about each other and our families and sharing food and sharing experiences and seeing what's going on. And I feel like we've kind of gotten away from that. So there's not as much camaraderie because people don't go out after work and, have parties and things like that, or just kind of gotten away from it, especially people my age. As I come back downtown, I find myself walking down the street this way and that way and popping into places and trying to get to know my neighbors and maybe even borrowing things or saying, hey, I'm available. Here's my number. If you want to pop in here, you don't have any French fries on Friday afternoon, that kind of stuff. And just kind of get that camaraderie back, but also make my restaurant especially a place where everybody feels welcome and that it's a positive work environment. I know that where Kelly is going to be a happy and fun place to work. And that's where we all want to get together. So that's what I'm working on the most. I'd say industry wise, it is getting expensive. It's insane. I feel like the prices here are still oddly reasonable. Maybe the dinner menus are a little high, but think about what we're paying and the price point on everything. People, let's say you order a Brussels sprout appetizer. I just had this conversation. You order a Brussels sprout appetizer, and one of my guys puts 2 spoonfuls on the plate instead of 1. If you go to the grocery store and you buy that little tiny bag of Brussels sprouts for $7, you know that second spoonful, basically, we're not making any money off of it at that moment. And diners, when you sit down, you don't really think about it. You still are kind of in the mindset of 15 years ago where it's $12 for Brussels sprouts. So I don't know if we'll ever be able to get past that. I mean, if I listen to my parents and to, friends and stuff, and sometimes it's the produce that's driving the price almost as bad. And the eggs. I mean, think about the eggs right now and that kind of stuff. You come in for brunch and all of a sudden the brunch prices are $24 instead of $16. And it's it's hard for a standalone restaurant, anything family owned. People, I mean, they're struggling, and I don't know what to say about it. I don't know where we're going to go. I wish I could make it 2005 somehow. I wish I could personally bring back 2005. I feel like that was one of the biggest booming years where Charleston was just blowing up and people were opening up restaurants right and left. And really, I'd say even just a 10-year, 2005, 2015. I mean, maybe that's just me and my personal experience, but it's going to take time. I want to do it all in 1 month. I've been at Magnolias for 1 month now, and every single day I know that we have accomplished a lot. I know we're making our team stronger. We're training. The food looks better. It's being plated better. Not that it wasn't great before, because it is a staple and it's been around for a reason and people love it, but that doesn't mean it can't always get better and elevate and just be every single day a little bit better than the day before. It's hard for me because I'm definitely one of those people that just wants to get it all done as fast as humanly possible, but I'm just taking a step back, taking a look. Priority is staffing, training, staffing, training, staffing, training, and then just making incredible food.
As I am certain you are.
Well, that's the hope. Yes.
Chef, thank you so much for doing this, and best of luck with the new gig going forward, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Kelly Franz on Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page, and I'll see you next time.